Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Essaris here, and today we are back with another video. Today we're doing something a little bit different, a little bit special. Today we're going to be ranking every DAEDRIC artifact in Skyrim, including the many added by the Anniversary Edition through the Creation Club content. But before we hop into it, I just wanted to say that a very small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you like the video, want to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton, and you can always change your mind later. Alright, with that out of the way, let's hop into the video. Okay, so we're going to start with all the DAEDRIC artifacts from the base game, and then after that we'll move on to the ones added by the Anniversary Edition. So the first one up is Azura's Star, and I'm going to talk about Azura's Star and the Black Star together, because they come from the same quest. You get your choice of the two. They're both reusable soul gems. Azura's Star can hold white souls, the Black Star can hold black souls. And to be honest with you, they're both very powerful, because having unlimited recharges on your weapons, unlimited soul gems for enchanting, anything you desire. Very powerful. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Black Star an A and Azura's Star a B, because not being able to absorb human souls is the main drawback of Azura's Star, and with the amount of human enemies that you'll end up fighting in your time in Skyrim, it really does become a main drawback, as that's one of the easiest ways to get grand souls for enchanting. So not being able to absorb souls from bandits, Forsworn, Silverhand, anything you might be fighting, it really is a main drawback, so I'm going to have to go ahead and put Azura's Star slightly lower than the Black Star. Next up, we have Dawnbreaker, from the quest The Break of Dawn. It's a very iconic weapon, and honestly it's a pretty powerful weapon. It has a base damage of 12, which is the same as a glass sword, so pretty powerful. Plus it has fire damage, and if you're killing undead, then there's an explosion that damages and turns undead from time to time, so, you know, it's very powerful, especially when fighting undead, which, honestly, you fight a lot of undead through your time in Skyrim, between all the vampires through the Dawn DLC and all the Draugr through the base game. And it also, for whatever reason, it works on ash spawns, so it's also helpful in the Dragonborn DLC. So I am going to go ahead and give it an A. Very powerful sword, powerful enchantment. Main drawback to this weapon, I might give it a B actually. The main drawback of this weapon is that it can damage and kill the player. If the player is a vampire or vampire lord, you will end up dying because of this, and that's not exactly ideal in a weapon. Next up here we have the Ebony Blade. The Ebony Blade is found in the quest The Whispering Door in Whiterun. It has a lower base damage of 11 than any other two-handed weapon in the game, which is, you know, unfortunate, but at the same time, it swings at about the speed of a one-handed sword, so that does make up for it quite a bit, I think, at least. The enchantment is pretty powerful when you first get the sword. Absorb 10 points of health per hit, and when it's swinging as fast as a one-handed sword, that is pretty powerful. But as you kill friendly NPCs with this sword, then Mephala will talk to you and grant you more power to the blade, up to eventually absorbing 30 HP per hit, which is very powerful. So I am going to go ahead and give this sword, I'm going to give it a B. Very powerful sword. Amazing life drain enchantment, and overall it's a pretty fun quest. It's pretty fine. Nothing extraordinary about this blade, nothing bad about this blade. Alphabetically, what we have next is the Ebony Mail. So this is found during the quest Boethia's Calling, and it has a higher base armor of 45 than regular ebony armor. Not as good as DAEDRIC, but higher than regular ebony armor, so if you're going for this aesthetic, then this is definitely a better choice for you. It's also the only chest piece in the game that provides muffle, so you move silently when wearing this armor. And when in combat or while stealthed, any enemies nearby take 5 poison damage per second. Overall, really good armor. It's not available until pretty late in the game, I would say is its main drawback. I'm gonna go ahead and give it... I think I'm gonna give it a B. Only becoming available so late in the game. Very, very unfortunate. Overall, though, the aesthetic gives off like a black, misty feel. If you're going for heavy armor and stealth, this is definitely for you. Though, it's still good. It's just, you can't get it until very late in the game. So, I'm gonna give it a solid B. Next up, we have the Mace of Molag Bal. So, this mace, it has the same base damage of 16 as a DAEDRIC mace, plus it absorbs 25 magicka and stamina, which essentially gives you infinite power attacks when using this weapon, and it also has a soul trap enchantment built into it, making it excellent to go along with either of these, the Essaris Star or the Black Star. You can level enchanting really quickly if you just kill something with this, use this to recharge it, rinse and repeat. Everything you kill, you'll get enchanting skill. So that's a very fun tactic. The Mace of Molag Bal, you can get it really early in the game, and it has the same base damage as a DAEDRIC mace. Plus, it looks 10 times cooler than a DAEDRIC mace. Plus, the enchantments are amazing for fighting fighters, for fighting spellcasters. Just in general, this is probably... I'm gonna give it an S. This is one of the best DAEDRIC artifacts in the game, overall. It's just OP. I don't know what to tell you. Next up here, we have the Mask of Clavicus Vile, and I'm actually going to talk about this one and the Rueful Axe at the same time here. So the Mask of Clavicus Vile, it has the same base armor as DAEDRIC Helmet, plus very powerful Fortify Barter and Fortify Speech, and also some spell reduction. So if you're going for a heavy armored spellcaster, it's fine. I would rather recommend any of the Dragon Priest masks for that specific build. But the appearance of this, super cool. The mustache alone gives it bonus points for sure. Overall, I mean, like, it's good to throw on anytime you're selling stuff, so it's good to always keep it on you, but for practical, like, for combat purposes, not so good. I'm just gonna give it a C. Okay? And while we're here, we'll talk about the Rueful Axe. It has the same base damage as a Glass Battle Axe, so that's decent. Especially at the level you can get it. However, the Rueful Axe is the single slowest swinging weapon in the game. The Rueful Axe is never worth your time. Almost 100% of the time, take the mask over the Rueful Axe. I'm gonna give it a D. It's just, the base damage is fine, but it swings so incredibly slowly. And I don't know, I just don't think the base damage makes up for that. Next up here, we have the Mehrunes Razor. It's a dagger. It has the same base damage as a DAEDRIC dagger. Doesn't become available until fairly late in the game. But the unique enchantment of Mehrunes Razor is that it has a 1.98% chance to instantly kill any target. There's 2 exceptions to this rule, both added in the Dragonborn DLC, and that is Mirak and Karstag are the only 2 that you cannot instant kill. Other than that, there's no holds barred. So, I mean, you can one-shot Alduin. 2% chance to just one-shot Alduin. Plus, having the same base damage as the DAEDRIC dagger makes it overall just a strong dagger to have, even without the enchantment. Plus, it looks cool. I'm gonna go ahead and give this dagger an A. Okay, so next up is the Ogma Infinium, found in the quest Discerning the Transmundane, given to you by Septimus Cygnus. The Ogma Infinium, what it does is when you read it, it gives +5 to either all 6 combat skills, all 6 stealth skills, or all 6 magic skills. You will progress towards the next level as if you were just regularly gaining these skills. You can't get it until level 15. I mean, overall, it's just, if you're at 95 and those last 5 are just a struggle to, you know, to grind out, then this is an easy way to get you to 100 in 6 separate skills. It's very powerful. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a B because it is a one-time use, unfortunately. Like, if it was multiple use like it used to be via a glitch, then obviously that would be OP, S tier. But even so, I'd still give it a B tier, very solidly. Okay, and next up we have the Ring of Hircine, and I'm going to talk about the Savior's Hide at the same time here as well. We'll talk about the Ring of Hircine first. What this ring does is it gives you the option to have unlimited werewolf transformations, provided that you're already a werewolf. So, for 90% of characters, this is going to be useless. But for those werewolf characters, obviously it's going to be S tier. You can just always be in werewolf form. I might give it a C. I would rather have the Ring of Hircine than the Rueful Axe, so I'm going to give it a C. I'm not happy about giving it a C. Like, it's not anything special, to be honest with you. It's pretty cool, but you could always also just wait the 24 hours to get your beast form back. So, I mean, like, meh, C. And for Savior's Hide here, it's light armor. It has the same base armor as Elven armor. You have to pick between these two, by the way. It is possible to get both, but just like the way you do it is specific, and you don't want to mess it up because then you only get one, and then yeah. So Savior's Hide here gives you 15% magic resistance, 50% poison resistance. So I mean, like, it's okay. Nowhere near as good as the Ebony Mail. Either one of these is fine. It depends. If you're a werewolf, you take this. If you're not, you take this. That's essentially all it comes down to. Neither is super fun. The quest is very fun, and they both look really cool. But overall, I'm just gonna have to leave them in C tier, I think. Okay, moving on to the Ring of Namira. What this ring does is it grants you plus 50 stamina, and it gives the player the option to feed on corpses. So it's found during the Taste of Death quest in Markarth, and I mean, feeding on corpses, it gives you plus 50 health, plus 50% health regen, so like, it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, not super practical in combat. As a warrior, I mean, as any character really, it is just nice to have. Because of that plus 50 stamina, it's a pretty strong enchantment for a ring. And then having the option to feed on corpses is cool. It is considered a crime if you see a guard, then don't do it right in front of the guard. But overall, pretty solid ring. I'm just gonna give it a C tier, I think. Like, it's nothing super special. It's cool conceptually for some cool role-playing ideas, but practically, it's just okay. Moving on here to the Sanguine Rose. Sanguine Rose, the quest, A Night to Remember, one of the best DAEDRIC quests in the game, in my opinion. Of course, this tier list is 100% just my opinion, and If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I would love to have a civilized discussion about it. But yeah, anyways. Sanguine's Rose. It summons a leveled Daedra up to level 46. It's the highest level Daedra it can summon. So I mean, for most of the game, this is going to keep you going. There are some weird interactions with it, some weird, like, sometimes your followers will turn hostile towards the Daedra, sometimes the Daedra won't cast, but it'll still absorb a charge on the staff. So, practically, I think I would give it a B tier, but because of all, like, the inconsistencies of it, I might just give it a C tier. Even though the quest is amazing, it feels very lackluster. It's just the best way I could put it. You could just summon Daedra through Conjuration and be just as well off. Next up, we have the Skeleton Key, which I would just like to preface this by saying 100% of the time I would give this an A or an S, just for the usefulness of it. It's an unbreakable lockpick. It looks super cool. The lore behind it, super cool. Everything like that. How you get it, super cool. You get it during the quest Blindsided, during the Thieves Guild questline. But, so I would put it here or here, but the fact that if you want to continue the Thieves Guild questline, you have to return it. So you don't even get to keep this Daedric artifact. So I think I give it an A. And I think I give it a B, actually. Just because you don't get to keep it. If you're playing a character that's going to make maximum use of this, you're going to want to be the guildmaster of the Thieves Guild, which means you cannot keep this anyways. So, it's cool, it's very helpful, it's amazing, but you have to return it. So, it lands itself in the B tier. The Skull of Corruption. This is found during the quest Waking Nightmares. It's a staff. It does an explosion of 20 damage. If you charge it with dreams, then by consuming those dreams, it'll do 50 damage instead. So that's 2.5 times damage just by charging it with dreams, which is a minor inconvenience. But overall, it's like casting better Fireball at will, just with this staff. And you can get it really early in the game, without much trouble. The quest is super cool, super fun, and not that challenging, so I might honestly give this an A tier. I think I will. That's going to be controversial, I think, but in my opinion, A tier. Just for coolness, for effectiveness, everything. A tier. Okay, next up, we have the Shield of Periite. This is the Spellbreaker shield. It has a base armor of 38, which is the highest of any shield in the game, and it projects a 50 damage ward when blocking. So, this is, honestly, it's extremely OP. The best shield in the game. Beautiful for fighting dragons, mages, high-level Draugrs with shouts, high-level bandits, high-level Forsworn, high-level Falmer. Anything that casts spells at you, this is going to be your best friend. This is the Warrior's Ward. So if you're not playing a mage, but you don't want to die to spells, this is the shield for you, 100% of the time. Best shield in the game, plus a very strong ward. It's just, overall, mwah, chef's kiss. Next up here, we have Volendrung, found during the quest The Cursed Tribe. Volendrung, the enchantment on it is a 50-point stamina absorption, which is phenomenal. You get infinite power attacks with this weapon, which, by the way, this weapon has the same base damage as an Ebony Warhammer, while also being unique in the fact that it swings at the speed of greatswords instead of warhammers, but it still has an amazingly high base damage. I'm gonna go ahead and give this an A tier. You get infinite power attacks. Just the aesthetic of it is super cool. Any orc character really just wants to use this weapon. 100% of the time. If you're not using these two in tandem, you're using this. And that's all there is to it. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Up next here we have the Wabbajack, which obviously the Wabbajack gets S tier. It delivers a random effect, so it can be anything from casting a fireball to turning your enemy into a sweet roll, which is super helpful, or it could turn them into a leveled Dremora, which might be more difficult than the original enemy you were fighting. So for the fun factor, 100% of the time, this gets an S tier. For the effectiveness factor, 100% of the time, this gets an S tier, because, like, the worst you're gonna do is heal your enemy, and then you'll just cast again and, you know, fireball them, and then that heal did nothing. So, I mean, it's super fun. 100% recommend getting this weapon and just running around Solitude and just casting it at will, you know? It's found during the quest, The Mind of Madness in Solitude. Highly recommend. Best staff. So good. Now we are moving on to some of the DAEDRIC artifacts that were added with the anniversary edition of Skyrim through the Creation Club content. And the first one we have is Bitter Cup. So Bitter Cup is found during the quest A Dying Wish. It's a single-use potion that it permanently increases your greatest stat by 20 and also permanently decreases your lowest stat by 20. So it just fortifies what you're already good at and makes you even worse at what you're already bad at. These stats, by the way, is health, stamina, magicka. So if you're playing a glass cannon mage with max out magicka and next to no health, this is just going to make you even more of that glass cannon spellcaster. Your health is going to go down permanently, and your magicka is going to go up permanently. So it's good for, like, role-playing potential, some fun builds with it. Like, it's not good. Let me just preface by saying that. Like, it's just fine at best. It's a deficit. It's, you know, mathematically it just does not work out for you in your favor. Your highest stat, say you're at 500 health, 100 magicka. Your highest stat goes up by 20. That's a fifth of a fifth. So it's a 25th upgrade compared to your health going down by 20. From 100 to 80 is just a 1/5 decrease. So mathematically, it is never going to work out in your favor, if you think about it like that. But overall, like, there's some fun possibilities with it. It looks cool on a shelf. After you drink it, you just get an empty copy of it in your inventory. It's fine. The next one we have to talk about here is the Bow of Shadows. So it has the same base damage as a DAEDRIC bow, except it draws faster than a DAEDRIC bow, which is, you know, just overall a very powerful bow already. And I haven't even told you the main selling point of this bow. So already I'm thinking I could throw this in B tier, you know? So just a very strong bow. But then when I tell you, every time you draw this bow, you cast invisibility on self for 30 seconds for free. Just every time you draw this bow. I'm gonna give it an A tier. It is a bit of a weird thing, because when you draw the bow, becoming invisible is just, it's amazing. That's really strong. But when you draw the bow, you're gonna be drawing it with the intention to shoot, which then takes you out of invis. And you then need to put away the bow and then redraw the bow to become invis again. So it's, I don't know. It's really powerful for sure. It just doesn't quite get that S tier because just the use case of it just feels a little bit clunky is all. Next up here we have the Fork of Horripilation along with the Staff of Sheogorath. So you get these during the quest, put a fork in it, and I'm just going to be honest with you, the Fork of Horripilation, all it is a cool looking dagger. except it has a base damage of 1. So it's a dagger that does 1 damage. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me putting this in the F tier. Overall, it's like funny. You could use this in any of your like your fork and knife builds, you know, like cannibal build, something like that could be funny. You'd have to enchant the heck out of it, but yeah. The other Daedric artifact you get from this quest is the Staff of Sheogorath, which is an S tier. In a humongous AoE, anything that fails to resist is paralyzed for 10 seconds. That's a 10-second paralysis, which that in and of itself is just stupendous. It being a huge AoE is amazing, and it looking cool is, also amazing. And also, it doesn't cost you the magicka that a spell like Mass Paralysis would. Overall, honestly, if you're playing a warrior and you're just overwhelmed by a group of enemies, you just shoot this at your feet and then kill them all while they're paralyzed. It's pretty strong. It's definitely an S tier in my eyes. Next up here we have the sword Goldbrand, which has the same base damage as an ebony sword, which is quite good. Nothing spectacular, but quite good. And target burns for 30 fire damage, and targets on fire take extra damage. So, it's found during the quest A Matter of Pride. It is just a super OP fire ebony sword with a sick looking like skin aesthetic to it, being like a golden katana. Overall, very cool. I would probably rate it about the same as I would rate Dawnbreaker in terms of power. And so we're going to give it a B tier, put it alongside Dawnbreaker here. Moving on here, we have the Grey Cowl of Nocturnal. It has a base armor equal to that of an Elven helmet, so like, it's pretty good light armor. It's nothing the best light armor, but it's quite good. The unique appearance, very nostalgic for anyone who played previous Elder Scrolls games. And the enchantment has a Fortify Sneak of 25, Detect Life in a pretty large radius, and a Fortify Carry Weight of 50. So that right there, I would probably give this an A tier. But if you're wearing this, guards become hostile. And that is a pretty major downfall. You cannot wear this in cities unless you're sneaking around those cities. So like, for role-playing a Master Thief, 100% is super cool, super strong, trying to stay out of the sightlines of guards, who you can see through walls thanks to the Detect Life. So you know where they are, what they're doing. You can sneak around and play this out really well, but you're better off just taking it off when you're in towns, and like, that's just kind of meh, you know? So I am going to give it a B tier. Still overall very powerful, but it comes with a pretty powerful downside as well. Next up here we have Shadowrend. So Shadowrend comes in two forms, either the Greatsword or the Battle Axe. The Greatsword has a higher base damage than a Daedric Greatsword, and the Battle Axe has the same base damage as an Ebony Battle Axe. And the enchantment on both of them is the same. The target becomes 15% weaker to magic. So, I mean, it's cool. It's fine to, you know, run in with Shadowrend, lay a beating on, and then finish someone off with Fire Breath, for example. They'll be weaker to your Fire Breath, and that's overall pretty strong. I'm gonna give the Axe probably a C tier. Like, it's nothing special. Well, yeah. I think I'm gonna give it a C tier. It's nothing that special. The enchantment is, like, mildly powerful, depending on your build. Same as an Ebony Great Axe. You know, it's just, like, fine. The sword, on the other hand, having a higher base damage than a Daedric Greatsword is just insane. So, already, this is a very strong sword. I mean, overall, they're not that far apart from each other. This one is better, just in comparison to other weapons of its class. Greatsword, slightly better than the axe. So I'm giving it a B tier and the axe a C tier. And last, but certainly not least, here we have Umbra. So, the legendary sword Umbra. It has a higher base damage than a DAEDRIC Greatsword. It has a 10-second soul trap on it, a 25-point absorb health enchantment, and a 25-point absorb stamina enchantment. So, it's found during the quest Vile Whispers, and let me just tell you, this is one of the best swords in the game. I'm giving this an A tier. I'm leaning towards S tier now that I'm kind of looking at it. I think I am going to give it an S tier. Umbra here, having Soul Trap along with a stamina drain is already just very strong because you can infinite power attack any enemy and fill your soul gems, such as these two. And then having a health drain enchantment as well, it puts it very similar to the Mace of Molag Bal, except this is stamina and magicka. And I mean, my choice putting it in S, I'm kind of comparing it to Volendrung here. It has a stronger stamina absorption, no soul trap, no health drain, but slightly higher base damage. I feel like the health drain makes up for a lot, and the soul trap as well, keeping it with infinite charge as long as you have one of these. It's just very, very strong, in my opinion. Again, this tier list is 100% just my opinion. So, if you disagree, please let me know in the comments, and I would love to have a civilized discussion with you. A link to this tier list will be in the description, so feel free to fill this out yourself, and post the pictures in either my Discord, in the comments section, tweet them at me, anything like that. And yeah, I would love to have some discussions with you guys. So, anyways, that has been all for today. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. And I hope to see you all next time. Peace.